Ignition sequence start. 3, 2, 1.
Range is hot. Lock and load. It's time for the Gun Rack with your hosts, Joey and Drew.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Gun Rack, Sonoran Desert Institute School of Firearms Technology's official podcast. I'm Josiah Upper. Folks call me Joey. First of all, we have with us one.
Hi, Drew Poplin.
Hi, Drew Poplin. I prefer a sober one, but I'll take what I can get. Today, we're going to talk about...
I could have worded that better. Let's be... I get.
Explain why you fell asleep as we were discussing show notes before. Oh, you know what I don't have today? Speaking of that, I'm out of Zip Fizz.
Oh, you're out of Zip Fizz.
I thought I ordered a refill and I didn't. And then I didn't blow. I spent the money according to my budget.
Mm-hmm.
And so now I just don't, I'm just out for a couple of weeks.
Uh-huh.
I might cave and just do it anyway. But I was up all night. I've slept 90 minutes and I crave the power of Zip Fizz in a deep way.
I feel like we're going to need to have an intervention at some point.
Listen, dude. If you know any other creamsicle flavored substance that can keep me rolling for 42 hours straight, you tell me. But this is what I've got, okay? This is the best I can do right now.
How did you carry on before Zip Fizz?
Dude, therapy mostly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, Zip Fizz is a lot cheaper than
yeah, Zip Fizz and therapy, first of all, completely interchangeable, as we all know. But
yes,
significantly cheaper than that. No. I drank a lot of coffee and I didn't particularly like coffee. So my life changed. You know how there's at Costco, you know how those little sample things they hand out?
Yeah.
Everybody's just looking for a snack and then they just grab one and bounce.
Uh-huh.
I'm the guy I worked with. Someone was like, try Zip Fizz. I tasted this. I was like, holy crap. That was years ago. And it's a lifestyle ever since.
I won't tell my parents, though, about the you not liking coffee thing.
I like their coffee. That's different. That's artisanal tomfoolery over there. And it is pretty high octane.
Yeah, if you're ever in the middle of nowhere.
I was about to say slightly Western North Carolina.
Yes. Check out Garden Route Coffee.
It is really good, though. No joke. In fact, whenever you and I meet next, that might be a fun place to rendezvous.
Absolutely.
That could be fun.
What are we talking about today?
Oh, I have no idea. No, we're talking about coffee and Zip Fizz, dude. No, we are talking about purchasing used guns, what it's like, and then experiences with it. It's going to be kind of a light episode, which is funny because this is an incredibly in-depth topic. However, assuming, as we're not going to write a book on it, we're going to do a little bit of an overview. Drew's found an article that's super worth sharing. He's going to do that. But before we do any of that, of course, as always, Drew Poplin is on the clues, high or not. Drew's clues.
For the sake of my job, I just want to reiterate, I am not.
This is the highest he's ever been. You hear me?
Yeah.
You hear me, guys? Yes.
Which is saying something, because honestly, the tonality of my voice really...
It's pretty impressive,
It makes it sound like I always am.
Yeah.
Dude, when I went to high school, because I moved to South Africa, went to a new high school, all the stoners in the class were like coming up to me and were like, hey, I was like, oh no, I don't do any of that.
I don't do any of that. And I don't know why you would think that of me.
I am the son of a youth pastor, and I know what stereotypes are, but I'm not that kind of youth pastor's kid.
That's true. You were an absolute freaking goblin.
So last week's answer was the AH Fox F-grade shotgun. This week, I wanted to give you guys a little bit of an easier one. I know I've been doing some more like archaic firearms lately for Drew's Clues. And while this is an older one, it's a little bit more iconic. So this popular 6-round percussion revolver was designed between the years of 1847 and 1850. It has a mass of 2.6 pounds, a barrel length of 7.5 inches, a total length of 13 inches, and it fired 36 caliber lead balls. Famous users of this firearm include Wild Bill Hickok, not to be confused with Hickok on YouTube, William Buffalo Bill Cody, and Doc Holliday. If you think you know the answer to this week's Drew's Clues, please encourage you, comment on YouTube or send us an email at marketing@sdi.edu. And if you are the first one to guess correctly, we'll send you some swag for free. Sounds like a pretty good deal to me.
And if you're the last person to send it in, we get the swag we send from you.
Just go straight to our address.
Yeah, you have to send us your best t-shirts and we give them away.
we have to get a piece of your clothing. You get that Carhartt jacket.
Yeah,
it's ours now.
Give me that. It's ours. Yeah, dude. We definitely want it. And you've definitely washed it. So we're all above board right now.
We'll also accept root beer though.
Oh, yes. That, please. Root beer. Let's go. But in all seriousness, though, if you think you know the answer, marketing@sdi.edu, or comment on this podcast episode on our YouTube channel. We do monitor that. And before we hop all the way in, do want to real quick talk about SDI, Sonoran Desert Institute. It's an online school, helps students learn the skills and techniques needed to be successful in the firearms and unmanned technology industries. SDI is accredited by the Distance Education Accrediting Commission, that's the DEAC. And currently, SDI offers 2 programs of firearms technology, the Associate of Science in Firearms Technology, ASFT, and the Certificate in Firearms Technology Gunsmithing, CFTG. There is also the Certificate in Unmanned Technology Aerial Systems, CUTAS. And if you're interested in any of those, you just want to take your knowledge of this field to the next level, hop on to www.sdi.edu for more. Okay, we've gotten through all that. I've pulled us off the rails, I think, 3 times today. And we have more to go. So we're going to talk about buying a used firearm, which is, funnily enough, not something I think we've discussed explicitly here. We've talked about it. I think we've talked about gun shows at one point or another.
Mm-hmm.
We've definitely written about them. We've talked about all sorts of fun things within this realm, but to just focus that down, we just want to talk about why to do it, sometimes when not to do it. Yeah, there's just a huge part of this industry does not come from purchasing brand new things. So we want to be sure that we cover that in some details. And we love, when we're done with this, that any information you guys can share with us at marketing@sdi.edu on experiences you've had, we'd love to hear.
Absolutely. I was going through guns.com. This is where we got the article from today. It's guns.com. And it caught my eye because, as you know, I'm building up this bank account a little bit more. My brother-in-law happened to mention, hey, have you thought about getting a used gun instead of a new one? And to be honest, not really. Like, I just assumed, okay, I'll just buy a new gun, whatever. And, I kind of realized I hadn't really thought too much about buying a used one. And so it caught my eye, figured we'd go over it with you guys. And maybe we'll talk about it more in the future. But this, once again, is from guns.com. It's written by Mr. Ryan Domke. And it's titled, Why Buy a Used Gun? Ryan says, many years ago when I was looking at purchasing my first gun, the thought didn't even cross my mind to look at a used one. Like me. I wound up picking out a new Glock 19 Gen 3 from a local gun store for what I thought was a good deal. Shortly after, a friend of mine ended up buying a used one for almost $150 less and in near perfect condition. It was at that point that I quickly began exploring the used firearm market. And so he goes into reasons why people would want to buy a used firearm. So the first one he addresses is probably the most obvious, and he even alluded to it in his intro. It's saving money. If you can get a firearm that is near the same quality as a used one for $200 less, why not? And as someone who's relatively new to firearms, it seems like it wouldn't be a bad idea to actually purchase a used one. And as Ryan points out, having that extra money to spend on ammunition and accessories is never a bad thing. Then he goes on. His second point is it's helpful if you're trying to find a specific gun. And in particular, he's referring more to older models of firearms. So if you're looking for a specific firearm from the past that maybe isn't in production now, that would be a great option for you. Or that's really your only option at that point. If you want that specific firearm, you kind of have to get it used. He says a great example would be the original Colt Pythons, which were discontinued from 2005 to 2020. If you want to find one that was manufactured pre-2005, you can bet it will be used. I'd also like to add that not all used guns are old and vice versa, but the used market definitely can be a gold mine for older and hard to find guns. And then the third reason he gives is avoiding the break-in period, which is something I wanted to get your feedback on, Joey. He says some guns tend to experience a mix of malfunctions throughout the first several magazines, and then they seem to shoot flawlessly afterward. While I personally haven't experienced many issues with this, I have heard from plenty of other shooters who have. When buying used, in most cases, the original owner will already have shot the gun. This can help bypass those pesky issues during the first few range trips. Was that experience that you've had with a new gun?
It absolutely can be a thing. It is not something I have experienced. And as the golden age of firearms technology seems to continue forward, I think that is going to be less and less of an issue. I have heard of it being the case, though. I have yet to experience it. And I've shot some 1911s, so that's saying something.
Yeah. And forgive me for my ignorance. Is it just like, is it a lubrication issue or?
Honestly, I don't know. I assumed it was just new guns sometimes just need a break-in, and it's, it just is that simple. But I'm sure one of our graduates could give a much more nuanced answer to that.
Yeah, because I don't want to think of it in terms of you get a new pair of shoes and you got to break it in. But I guess it makes sense. That's something we got to do for a lot of things. Or maybe a cast iron grill. So those were his 3 reasons. And then he goes on to give 3 quick and dirty tips for buying used. I'm not sure I like that. So his top 3 are.
Which of the 2 parts do you object to, though?
I don't want.
That's what I thought.
Tips.
That's what I thought.
I don't want dirty tips. I've had.
You have no ambition.
I've had frosted tips before, but we don't.
Oh no,
dude! I did it twice foolishly. That's what middle school does to a boy.
Is South Africa the Florida of the continent?
Well, luckily I got it all out in rural North Carolina before I ever. Well, because in South Africa, you go to school and they have dress codes. It's pretty strict.
Really, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I wasn't able to grow my hair out or have the awkward facial hair phase until I got to college.
Wow, did not know that.
Yeah. So the first tip he gives, whether clean or dirty, he says buy from a reputable seller. I've heard horror stories of people receiving damaged guns, the wrong gun completely, or even not receiving any gun. People talk, and so do reviews. Make sure to pay attention to both of them. For you, Joey, is that something where I imagine you probably prefer going to a local gun shop or even a pawn shop, really, as opposed to buying online with it?
Actually, I've had a lot of success with both, but I have had some issues as well. I have bought firearms at a pawn shop. I have bought firearms in private transactions, all very, very, I'm very scrupulous when it comes to making sure everything is adhered to. Know your state and local laws for that, because sometimes they change and you do not want to make a mistake on that, just as an aside. And I have purchased, I've been to estate sales. I don't think I've ever pulled the trigger, no pun intended, on one there. And I've done the gun broker route. I had one firearm I bought on gun broker just be not acceptable on any level. And I had a couple that were just steals. Absolute slam dunks. So there's definitely an element of risk involved.
Yeah, and I guess it's a little bit easier nowadays with stuff like online reviews and everything. If you see someone has 1 out of 5 stars and they're a seller, maybe be best to steer clear.
Yeah.
I'm not talking one star review either, because if you're in the business of selling anything, if you're a company, if you're a small business, if you're a private seller, chances are you will get a 1-star review. So if you're in that and you haven't yet, just be prepared. It's coming. People are trolls.
It's coming for you, my dude.
Yep. Tip number 2, inspect the gun, which makes a lot of sense. And it's a lot easier, I would imagine, in person, because you actually get to hold it in your hand. You get to kind of feel the pull of the trigger, stuff like that. Which I guess that would be my hesitancy going online. But he does talk about how guns.com, they have a certified user program. Each gun goes through a 10-point inspection That includes both the internal and external components. Certified guns will have the corresponding certified stamp on their listing. I imagine, is that something Gunbroker does?
I don't. It's been a very long time since I made a purchase from Gunbroker.
Or is
so I'm not
Gunbroker,
sure.
is that more like a forum almost?
Yes. It's basically eBay that knows what it's doing when it comes to this kind of thing.
Gotcha.
Or at least it was when last I used it, which again was some time ago today.
And tip number 3, make sure you know the return policy. So this is more like so if you're dealing with a business. But after you get a used gun home or delivered and have more time to inspect it, there's always a chance you could find something wrong that you didn't notice when purchasing. Understand the seller's return policy just in case, especially when buying online. You'll want the peace of mind knowing that you're covered. Then he talks a little bit more about like guns.com's offerings, and he gets to his final thoughts. He says, let's be honest, it doesn't always make sense to buy used. If the price is the exact same for both a used and new version of the same gun, I would go
Just go new.
Yeah. However, if you can save money or find that gun you've been searching long and hard for, buying it used can be a great option. In addition, sometimes used guns come with extra goodies from the previous owner, like upgraded sights, holsters, extra magazines. So, in conclusion, don't let the sole fact that a gun is used deter you from purchasing it.
Very good. It's
Yeah.
good stuff.
So, like, with me getting ready to be a first-time firearms buyer,
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose it depends on what firearm I'm looking for. That kind of determine whether I buy new or used. But yeah, do you just have any thoughts on that? Like any advice?
Yeah, I think buying used is a great idea. When it comes to getting your first handgun, if there's something you are particularly interested in, see if you can rent it at the range first. That is not always a given. If it's not a given, or for example, the very first handgun I purchased was a SIG P320. I bought it new. I spent $550 on it at the time. I concealed carried it twice. I hated it. It was a very solid shooting firearm, but it was very difficult to conceal. Very kind of a fat handgun. And because of that, there were some issues when it comes to, or when it came, I just lost money because you're paying that sticker. It's like buying a car, deciding you don't like it, and then trading it in. How much money did you just lose? It's a lot, right? So if you have a firearm model that you're particularly interested in and it's available on the used market, I would go that route. I tried to. When I picked up my SIG P365 XL, I went looking used first. There didn't happen to be any. So it's the right thing to do. And honestly, that is how a lot of local gun stores make their money. So there is a superb opportunity to, it's like GameStop, formerly EB Games. They don't make jack on their new new games. They make all their profit in flipping used games. I have to imagine it's the same for gun shops.
All right. So, yeah, I think that was the article. That's it for today as far as, our main topic goes. How about some Tales from the Range?
Tales from the Range.
All right. So this one comes once again from the highroad.com. This is from Meeks36. Says, went to the range today. Not my normal one. It was first time at this location. Go in and tell them I need a lane. I signed the paperwork and chat for a few minutes, went in and unloaded all my gear. I started off with my Ruger PC9, Wrangler LCP2, and finally my 590. Someone else walked in halfway through. He was popping rounds 2 lanes down. I loaded up my 12 gauge and boom. I happened to look over and saw a broken light next to the other guy's lane. So I stopped firing. The owner runs in and says, "This is a pistol only range. The shotgun's on the other side." No one told me, no signs. I think I gave the other shooter a mini heart attack. So I apologized for my mistake and I asked why no one told me. The owner said that the lady that helped me was new and should have checked the paperwork and asked what I was firing. Just glad the guy next to me didn't do more than shoot out a light.
Woof.
Yep. Anyway, Thank you, everybody, for listening to this episode of the Gun Rack. Joe, any final words?
No, I don't think so.
You are like, I wish the audience could see it right now. You are like bathed in
In
immaculate
sunlight.
white.
The sun is setting directly over my shoulder right
You
now.
got like
It's pretty fun.
you got a lens bokeh like
Yeah,
in the
dude.
bottom left of your screen. It's
Oh my gosh, you're right.
it's like you're in a L'Oreal commercial to
He
me.
lives in you. It does look like I'm about to pop off some poor cover of a Broadway song. That's the vibe right now.
I was gonna say it kind of looks like you're in a Stephen Curtis Chapman music video from the 90s.
Yes, it does.
But
They've really gone downhill.
anyway, that's enough Stephen Curtis Chapman for this podcast. Folks, have fun out there, stay safe, and we will see you at the range.
Sonoran Desert Institute is an online school accredited by the DEAC. It is headquartered at 1555 West University Drive in Tempe, Arizona. For more information about how you can craft your firearms future, visit sdi.edu.